Well there. Hi there, my friends. Today is, what is it? Sunday, the 8th of November, 2020. And there's a brouhaha brewing, of course. And this is Emily Windsor Craig. And it appears to me we have a case of fake counterfeit ballots working that the DOJ and FBI don't know how to proceed on, as if they were evidence of election rigging. These agencies appear to be weaponized against actually seeking justice. And that's hard to watch. They seem to merely play favorites, never mind putting a credible case together when it is needed to halt public chaos. We're talking about an influx of counterfeit ballots, which was known about for some time. Apparently, it was initiated about 3 years ago, but which are not being brought out into the open. And so Revelations Armageddon appears to be a periodic threat until Satan himself is dealt with by the high heavens. We appear to be due for a reset because corruption has absolutely taken over. In the new world order, I call it, you get your needs met by groveling and confessing, unless you're self-sufficient and autocratic yourself, which means in the socialist regime, there are elites and there are drujas, okay? And that's what we're dealing with now, is that perceptions about reputation and about intentions and about mission are dominating, whereas evidence isn't even being considered. What happens is that the populace are taught by the media and the social media that the numbers or sources of votes have no value or moment because the voices and the puppets and the memes are to welcome Biden to the presidency, all right? And that's like the call for bread and circuses, wherein conservatives will continue to bleat until God renders this nation's karma, which is, because of the corruption, doom. Okay? Because that's what's going on. We have had a lot of corruption to deal with. Nobody cares that the ballots were faked. It's about perceptions around corruption. Everybody else is corrupt, not me. So Biden is 10 times more dishonest than Obama, who was 10 times more dishonest than Bush, who was 10 times more corrupt than Clinton. And it's about the perceptions, not about the reality. And perceptions are ruling because the mainstream media and the social media are hammering the perceptions down upon us that everything is just fine now that Mr. Biden has been declared the winner by the mainstream media itself, not by official sources. Now, you can't send your friends out to speak for you when you're president of the United States. And the president today needs to speak to why Biden was allowed to run, since he is considered a national security threat, a criminal charged with bribery and treason. And why the kids are furious. Children, the young people in school and college are furious because Assange and Edward Snowden have never been exonerated for telling the truth. And so what has happened is nobody believes in President Trump's sense of justice because in those cases, justice has not been done. President Trump has been timid, like Sessions and Barr, too timid to tell the truth because his friends are lawyers who make money on taking issues into adversarial courts. The more problems and issues that lack solutions, the more money lawyers make in adversarial courts. This is why politicians do not solve problems, they create them. So their lawyer friends will continue to support their re-election campaigns. Now, the president is always surrounded by a coterie of lawyers, the most despicable vermin of all, from my point of view, to affirm his position by handing out cases to them he lets them deal with. This is why businessmen make poor national leaders, because they don't often enough intervene personally when that is needed. And draining the swamp has been needed. If President Trump finally loses, it'll be because he never took the side of the innocents who were suffering, Assange and Snowden and other whistleblowers who gave their all. He doesn't stand for or with truth tellers who are putting their lives on the line, like myself. He lets us get trounced and tracked and targeted. What we're going to have now with Biden in office, if that holds up, is a third world communistic dictatorship with all the trappings until God steps in and destroys the whole thing, like Sodom and Gomorrah or Jericho, both of which had it coming. And this is because nobody cares that the ballots were counterfeit, 5 million of them. Well, aren't corruption, dishonesty, violence, and perfidy the bread and butter of lawyers and the legalist profession itself? Confabulate and complicate civil law, and only then do you need attorneys. No truly civil society needs lawyers to profit off trouble. In fact, Moses' holy laws comprise only 254 legal principles, which any idiot can memorize and learn how to live by. I'll leave you the link below. Now, self-seeking cronies who endanger the lives and interests of national security have no place in public policy. Biden, accused of bribery and treason, never should have been allowed to run as a candidate for any office whatsoever. How is this overlooked? Huh? I don't get it. Anybody who acknowledges Biden as being anything but a crook and a traitor is merely helping Satanists and globalists destroy this nation. Well, is that what you want? Is that what you want? I say fie on all of you. Now, the president, instead of going after corruption, the counterfeit ballots, kept it a secret and let corrupted underlings play at draining the swamp. Gitmo has never been fully invoked, and it should have been for 3 damn years due to Sessions and Barr's timidity. So who will go after the corruption that Biden lives by? Tell me. We have perceptions around corruption. Whoops. Everybody else is corrupter than me. And appearances deceive. Neocons, rhinos, and masons, and the senior executive service work for the side of chaos, self-consciously playing both ends of the middle. Why? Because it's just business. And that's not to mention the CIA, the State Department, and DARPA, Pegasus, pulling strings. So much of what the government is supposed to be doing is handled by separate corporations having no civil accountability statutes. Is it a surprise that the swamp doesn't want to drain the swamp? So how do we initiate calling appointees to account who produce no justice, just foot dragging and stonewalling? Wray, Sessions, Barr, and what if they persist and keep resisting the call? These are questions the president should have been hammering on for the past 3 years, not just letting this go by. Now he has a real problem with an accused traitor candidate having effectively stolen the election. So when the young people declare that the system is broken and not accountable, they are not wrong. Why aren't the consolidated, and there are only 6 corporations total, media and social media, charged with violating the Smith Act against advocating the overthrow of the US government? Why? Bribery, blackmail, extortion, corruption to the max. Today, Biden and Harris went to a Catholic church. They both are promoters of abortion. And presumably, they both received communion. What this says is that the Catholic Church is no longer Christian, all right? And they not only trumpet abortion, but they operate by secret lists, according to the latest tweets. Trade treaties, okay, have been the cornerstone of this administration, but they treat workers as consumable products, and that's a big problem because there are no human rights written into trade treaties. Moving US businesses to China helped China, but destroyed our industrial base, and Trump moving them all back here is destroying China. And so a war is their solution to this problem. I think our negotiators need to take things a little more seriously and not negotiate unilaterally and get into bilateral negotiations in which there can be a win-win solution. Yes, nature is predatory and the prey gets eaten, but not all of them. If we don't want to be human prey, eaten in a Bolshevik playlist of violence, we must legislate from law to regulate predators. Failing that, what we have today is chaos in which there is no safety or security for the innocent, the young, or the elderly. And the media are not helping because they're not talking about what is true. And I think that they should be severely prosecuted for not talking about what's the fact that Twitter is censoring the statements that the president is making today. That has got to be a crime because the president is endeavoring to fill us in about the facts of the circumstances. If Twitter is actually censoring him, that, Mr. Barr, ought to be a prosecutable offense. I hate these timid people who don't know right from wrong because they have a paperwork path they have to follow. How corrupt. This has been Emily Craig, and I'm ranting today. Bye.